Welcome back to High Stakes. Today, we will be discussing the following NCAAF matches that is happening on Saturday, October 21st, 2023. We will be providing our team, total, and prop picks for the day. Before we get started, please remember to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. If you want access to our premium picks, you can check out our Patreon page. You can find the link to our Patreon page in the description and comment section below. Penn State versus Ohio State. Ohio State has been the dominant force in their recent head-to-head matchups, winning 9 out of their last 10 meetings against Penn State in terms of straight-up victories. On the other hand, when it comes to point spreads, the Nittany Lions have excelled, with a 7-3 record against the spread in their last 10 games against the Buckeyes and an impressive 6-1 ATS record in the last 7 games as underdogs. Both teams currently sit at a 3-0 record in the Big Ten East, trailing Michigan State by just 1 win in the conference standings, but this game is poised to shake up those rankings. According to Ohio State's game notes, this marks the 7th consecutive meeting in which both teams are ranked, and it's the 24th time in their 39 matchups that they have met under ranked circumstances. In their last season's clash, Ohio State emerged victorious with a score of 44-31, and Jackson Harrison Jr. made a name for himself with an impressive performance, recording 10 receptions for a career-high 185 receiving yards. He is expected to be the primary focus of Penn State's defense and holds the key to their chances of winning this game. If the Nittany Lions can effectively limit Ohio State's star receiver, they stand a good chance of securing their first victory over Ohio State since 2016. Nevertheless, these two programs appear to be evenly matched in all aspects, including special teams. This game is anticipated to be a classic battle between Big Ten powerhouses and is certainly worth watching. The expectation is that the game will remain closely contested. In this context, it's recommended to consider taking the Nittany Lions with the points. In the previous season's encounter, these two teams entered the fourth quarter having scored a combined 30 points, but then erupted, jointly adding 45 points in the final 15 minutes. Over the last 3 meetings, they have averaged 65 points per game when playing each other. Despite both teams boasting formidable defenses, their offenses are equally dynamic and capable of outperforming any opposing defense. While the under has hit in 5 out of 6 of Ohio State's games this season, their recent 2 games have seen an average of 51 points, with their offense scoring 35 or more points in 4 of their last 5 games. On the other hand, Penn State has experienced the overhitting in 4 out of 6 games this season, consistently scoring at least 30 points in every game. This matchup might very well mirror the pattern from the previous year, with defenses initially dominating the game before the offenses find their rhythm. Consider taking the over. Next we have Air Force versus Navy. During the 2021-22 season, Air Force convincingly defeated Navy with a final score of 23-3 in their previous visit to Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. Navy has faced 2 losses in their last 3 meetings with Air Force when it comes to the point spread. Furthermore, Navy has experienced defeat in all 3 of their home games against the spread this season, extending their losing streak to 5 games dating back to last year. In their recent performances against the spread, they have also suffered losses in 2 out of 3 games. Meanwhile, Air Force, boasting an unblemished record this season, has emerged victorious in 3 of their last 4 games against the spread and secured 3 consecutive wins in their opponents' stadiums. Air Force has demonstrated dominance on both offense and defense during their undefeated streak this season, with high rankings in various crucial categories. Notably, they currently hold the top rank in the nation for average rushing yards per game, at 326.6. To compound Navy's challenges in this matchup, the midshipmen have struggled to defend against the run throughout the season, ranking 86th among their peers in average rushing yards allowed per game. Despite the injury to Air Force's starting quarterback, which will necessitate adjustments, there is little evidence to suggest that Navy will be able to effectively stop the run and remain competitive at home against the Falcons this Saturday. Consider favoring Air Force in this matchup. The Falcons have exceeded the total point threshold in their last 4 games, consistently putting up 34 or more points during this stretch, and they have managed 34 or more points in all but one of their matchups this season. In 2023, Air Force boasts a top-tier offense, ranking 13th in the nation for average points scored per game, with an impressive 36-point average. Furthermore, the team ranks prominently in various essential offensive categories, notably securing the top spot in average rushing yards per game. This indicates their capability to accumulate points swiftly, especially against a Navy defense that has been allowing an average of 27.6 points per game. Air Force's most recent away game saw them triumph over the San Jose Spartans with a score of 45-20. On the other hand, the midshipmen have conceded an average of 34 points to their opponents in their past 2 home games. Anticipate the Falcons to consistently score throughout the game, primarily through their formidable rushing attack. Over the last 3 games played between these two teams at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium, 2 of them surpassed the total point threshold, with an average of 59.3 combined points scored per game. Most indicators suggest that the upcoming contest in Maryland on Saturday will be a higher scoring affair. Consider taking the over. Next we have Boston College versus Georgia Tech. Boston College and Georgia Tech have a history of 6 previous meetings, with the series evenly split at 3-3. Their most recent encounter occurred in 2021, where Zay Flowers, currently a standout rookie for the Baltimore Ravens, had a remarkable game, catching 2 passes for 87 yards and scoring a touchdown on each reception for the Eagles. Boston College emerged victorious with a 41-30 win. Both teams come into this game with similar average points per game, with BC scoring 28 points and Georgia Tech scoring 31. Additionally, their defensive averages are quite close, with BC allowing an average of 32 points per game and Georgia Tech giving up 29. These statistics alone suggest a closely contested game. Following a challenging match against Miami, where Georgia Tech faced a strong rush defense and managed only 99 rushing yards, they are likely eager to showcase their running game against Boston College. The trio of Jamal Haynes, Trey Cooley, and quarterback Haynes King is expected to establish the run and gain significant yardage. However, Boston College possesses a similar capability. Thomas Castellanos stands among the elite in college football as both a passer and a rusher. BC can adapt its game plan to suit the situation, whether favoring a pass-heavy or run-heavy approach. For instance, in a previous game against Louisville, Castellanos threw for 265 yards against a formidable opponent. Then, in the absence of key player Ryan O'Keefe last week, the Eagles focused on the rushing attack, with Castellanos rushing for 142 yards and scoring 4 touchdowns. In this matchup, Georgia Tech is expected to struggle in containing Castellanos, especially considering their struggles against mobile quarterbacks earlier in the season, such as Jackson Dart of Ole Miss and Louisville's Jack Plummer. Dart gained 136 yards and scored 2 touchdowns, while Plummer managed 51 yards. Crucially, Georgia Tech is allowing a concerning 214 yards on the ground, a weakness that Castellanos can exploit, opening up downfield passes to quick receiver Lewis Bond. Boston College prefers to take its chances on 4th down in the red zone rather than settling for field goals. They have a success rate of 14 out of 20 on 4th down attempts this season and have successfully kicked all 5 field goals attempted. Against Georgia Tech's defensive struggles against the run, Boston College is likely to use all 4 downs to aim for touchdowns in the red zone. In contrast, Georgia Tech has a 4 for 11 success rate on 4th downs and has made 7 of 11 field goals, or 63.6%. This advantage tilts in favor of BC. Following their recent win over nationally ranked Miami, where they were outperformed in several aspects except the final score, Georgia Tech enters this game with confidence. Despite a challenging schedule ahead, the Yellow Jackets have sparked conversations about their potential bowl game prospects. While Georgia Tech is expected to have a strong performance, Boston College will remain competitive. The outcome of this closely contested game is likely to be determined by a narrow margin in the final quarter. The odds have been inflated in favor of Georgia Tech due to their victory over a nationally ranked team in their previous game. They may secure a win, but the 4.5-point spread provides value. It wouldn't be surprising if Boston College wins outright. The favorable bet is taking Boston College with a 4.5-point spread. Both Georgia Tech and Boston College possess highly dynamic and explosive offensive units that can exploit defensive vulnerabilities in various ways. Georgia Tech's offense is particularly efficient, showcasing a solid 46.8% third down conversion rate. Boston College's offense is not far behind at 42%. Additionally, the defenses of both teams have shown a tendency to allow their opponents to keep up with their respective offenses. On average, both teams are expected to score around 30 points while conceding roughly the same number of points, bringing the game total to approximately 60. Boston College has defied bookmakers' expectations by consistently surpassing the total point threshold in their last 10 consecutive games, including all 6 games this season. In Georgia Tech's games, the results have been somewhat less decisive, with a 7-3 record favoring the over. However, it's noteworthy that in the 2 games where Georgia Tech faced mobile quarterbacks like Castellanos, the total points scored comfortably exceeded the set total by double digits. The same scenario is likely to unfold in this matchup if both teams' offenses perform well. Enjoy watching a high-scoring offensive showdown and consider taking the over at 57.5 points. Next we have Baylor versus Cincinnati. The Bearcats have given several games away this season by turning the ball over. They are currently ranked 121st out of 133 teams in average interceptions thrown per game with 1.5. Look for the Bearcats' struggles at home and their issues with turnovers to continue against a strong road team in Baylor on Saturday. Take the Bears. The Bearcats' defense has allowed 30 or more points to their opponent in 3 of their last 4 contests. Cincinnati has an elite rushing game this season, ranking 9th in the country in average yards per game on the ground with 218. Baylor has had difficulty defending the run all season, ranking out of the top 100 teams in average rushing yards allowed per game, so look for the Bearcats to add a significant amount of points to the total on the ground. Most signs point to a higher scoring affair in Cincinnati on Saturday. Take the over. We appreciate your viewership. Remember to hit the subscribe button for our channel and activate the notification bell to stay updated with our daily selections.